Today, I want to talk about OnlyFans. Whether you're a content creator looking at signing up on the platform, or you're currently a content creator looking at getting off the platform, whether you are an investor in similar projects, or if you are a digital marketer trying to understand how they scaled this business to such rapid success, this is the video for you. But before I get started, please smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so we keep making more of these videos. If you didn't know who OnlyFans was a month ago, we can forgive you. However, you probably know them now, as just last month they made headlines for literally taking a hand grenade to their business model by banning sexually explicit content. Of course, this was controversial because they are in the business of distributing, well, sexually explicit content. And quite frankly, they reached a size, statistically speaking, where just about every adult male between the ages of 18 and 50 in the US either has an account or has a close acquaintance with an account. So OnlyFans is a startup that's gone absolutely bonkers. From an MVP launch in 2016 with 10 content creators to over 1.3 million content creators today, with 130 million users spending at a run rate of about $4.5 billion in annual transactions. The story of OnlyFans is interesting from a startup perspective because the platform's growth puts it amongst the top tech stories of the last decade. Okay, so if we think about a decade ago, if you wanted to be a content creator and distributor of sexually explicit content, you were limited by very expensive barriers. For example, to independently produce and sell content, you needed to reach a certain level of scale. You'd have to hire talent, find distribution, have production teams, pay agents, process payments, and ultimately build out all that infrastructure that's required to go from production to consumer. Okay, so just like YouTube has largely empowered the individual to start making their own content, OnlyFans has done the same thing, but for the adult entertainment industry. Sure, there were other platforms before, but none of them reached the kind of scale and user base that OnlyFans has. So the model sees the creator keep 80% of the fees, while the platform retains a 20% commission. So we are left with a modern day, mostly pornographic platform where the users pay the talent directly, but they also have this unbridled access like never before to the performers. So let's talk about how they built their user base and got to a level that nobody else was at. So the strategy to build this base is summed up in a great article on Substack by Consumer Startups. They discuss what it takes to have a successful referral program, and in the context of OnlyFans, they talk about four main components. One, social capital. This is the confidence that you have as a referrer that you're going to be rewarded socially for making the referral. Secondly, there's social risk. So this is the risk of being ignored or poorly perceived for making the recommendation. Next, we have the referral incentive. So this is just simply put, how much are you going to get paid for actually making the referral? And then lastly, the effort required. How much work do you have to put in to make this referral? So OnlyFans started out with a referral incentive that was massive. It was 5% of a referral's lifetime revenue. So to give some context, let's take deep dive contributor Young Justin. Let's say that I send him a referral link and I say, Young Justin, you've got to become a content creator on OnlyFans. Now, what Young Justin likes to do is he likes to take pictures of his dirty socks and post them for his users. Now, Young Justin has beautiful, dirty feet, and the next thing we know, he's making $100,000 a month in subscription revenue. Well, for the duration of his stay on OnlyFans, where he is a content creator, I'm entitled to receive 5% of that revenue. Now, the best part is that this doesn't come out of Young Justin's cut, it comes out of OnlyFans' cut, and they're 20%. So Young Justin has no reason to resent me for me taking a commission off of all of his hard work. Okay, so we have a huge referral incentive, but let's talk about the risk side. So the social risk, you don't know what OnlyFans is going to turn to. You don't know who's going to end up signing up. So what they did was they made it so that it was very simple. Let's put together a simple thumbnail image that just talks about the value proposition. You will receive 80% of all subscription revenue should you sign up on our platform. And it was that easy, and there wasn't a whole lot of risk to just posting this link on your Twitter timeline. Okay, so next the company ended up picking on Twitter. Now, this is for a couple of reasons, and I don't even know if this was designed, but the truth is that Twitter tends to be the most favorable mainstream platform for adult entertainers. This is important for anybody who's focused on digital marketing. As Ben Hunt from Epsilon Theory puts it, there's no better platform for growing an audience on another platform than Twitter. So this is an area of the story that I think is very fascinating, and that is that adult entertainers tend to have massive followings on mainstream platforms like Twitter and to some extent Instagram, where they can't directly monetize. So here a platform called OnlyFans comes along. They've got a large user base. It's very user friendly. And the performer can actually set the terms of service with their audience, or in other words, monetize. And you combine all that, and the next thing we know, we have one of the fastest growing tech stories of the decade. So here's where this story takes a turn that if you're a content creator, you probably need to be cautious of OnlyFans. So in early 2020, they cut the 5% lifetime referral program to a maximum 1 year or $50,000 in referral fees, whatever came first. This wasn't grandfathered in, it was just revoked, effectively stealing future cash flows from those who participated in the early stages of OnlyFans growth. Going back to my previous example with my referral link to make money off of young Justin's dirty, sweaty feet, here I'm expecting to make 5% of his revenue for his entire lifetime on the platform. I just got cut off all the knees, all because the company decided they don't want to pay anymore. I joke about young Justin and his sweaty feet patrons, but this is serious, and it doesn't matter what industry we're talking about. I view this as theft. It's an extremely greedy look for ownership. Now, OnlyFans' defense was they needed to put more cash on the platform's balance sheet to support itself, but I find this hard to believe when they're generating $900 million in gross commissions, okay, less referral fees, with only 765 employees as per their LinkedIn. Oddly enough, when I researched this, there doesn't seem to be much outrage online, which probably says a lot about how we treat sex workers, adult entertainers, and the obstacles that they're up against, and quite frankly, as I see it, why the ownership group should be supporting these people, because they really need that voice. So let's talk about the ownership group. The company was started by Tim Stokely, who was son of an investment banker at Barclays. Tim previously founded Glam Worship and Customs For You, which gave access to users of fetishes, the ability to communicate directly with the content creators. In other words, for weirdos that wanted to pay a dominatrix money without ever seeing them in person, these platforms were great. So after Glam Worship and Customs For You, Tim Stokely left the entertainment world to attempt to create a platform called 121 Width. So this platform was like OnlyFans, but it was for tradespeople. This was a platform where they could share know-how and show you how to fix stuff around your house or your car, you name it. For example, on 121 Width, a plumber could share his knowledge on how to fix a pipe, whereas on OnlyFans, they'd show you just a picture of their pipe. So 121 Width wasn't a huge success, but in my opinion, the idea seemed pretty sound. Stokely, who wasn't afraid of making adjustments, then decided he was going to come out of retirement in the adult entertainment industry, kind of like Rocky Balboa coming out of retirement to avenge the death of Apollo Creed. But instead of getting his brains knocked in by Ivan Drago, he decided he was going to create a platform that made it so that adult entertainers could communicate with masturbators. So Tim started out the MVP of OnlyFans with just 10 content creators. This was in 2016, and this included Danny Harwood. So it's interesting because Danny today is almost a spokesperson for OnlyFans content creators. Today, she manages over 200 OnlyFans creators as clients. She recently defended the company to New York Times, stating that the company didn't have much of a choice in regards to the explicit content ban. The company obviously turned into a big success, and founder Tim then sells 75% of the company to a Florida internet porn baron named Leonid Radvinsky. He's known for starting MyFreeCams and has a history with referral sites like Ultra Passwords, which was a site where people thought that they were getting hacked passwords, but it was actually an affiliate marketing website to drive traffic for porn sites, which upon further research seems like one of the most savvy digital marketing schemes I've ever run across. So the platform starts to go mainstream when Cardi B, Bella Thorne, and Michael B. Jordan join, and then briefly we saw Tyga join, who left shortly after to create a platform called MyStar, which is essentially the same thing as OnlyFans, except instead of charging the content creators 20% like OnlyFans, they come in and they're going to charge 10% of a performer's revenue. So aside from having mainstream celebrities hop on, we've seen other moves from OnlyFans that attempts to distance itself from its porn-friendly reputation. So on August 17th, in the middle of all this illicit content banning drama, they announced the launch of OfTV, which was a streaming platform and app which excluded sexually explicit content. By doing so, it could be distributed on major platforms like iOS and Android. So if you're tuning into this video, you're probably asking, why did OnlyFans go ahead and suspend sexually explicit material? The short answer we're told is banks and the reputational risk that they got from being affiliated with OnlyFans. So one example was BNY Mellon, specifically flagging and rejecting every wire transaction involving OnlyFans, threatening their ability to pay content creators. Another example is JP Morgan, who was particularly aggressive in closing accounts of sex workers on any business that supports them. Third example would be Metro Bank, who had closed OnlyFans account on short notice in 2019. Later on, Bloomberg reported that it was the banking partners that pressured OnlyFans into banning the promotion of sexually explicit material, which would have started on October 1st, 2021. The proposed restriction affected anything showing, promoting, publicizing, or referring to real or simulated sex and bodily fluids. Although nudity would have still been allowed, an email to developers of OnlyFans cautioned that zooming in too close to body parts would actually break the regulations. Pornhub actually dealt with a similar issue back in December of 2020. This is when MasterCard and Visa prohibited the use of their credit cards on the Pornhub platform following an investigation by New York Times that revealed photos of rape and child sex abuse on the Pornhub platform. OnlyFans has had some similar scrutiny to this. For example, the Canadian Centre for Child Protection told Forbes magazine that their office often receives notifications about OnlyFans models potentially being underage, and they describe OnlyFans' efforts to protect underage performers as minimal at best. So despite efforts made by OnlyFans to prevent a similar fate to Pornhub, the company apparently struggled to raise funds at a valuation of around $1 billion from external investors. Anyways, I digress. On August 25th, OnlyFans declares that they will cancel this new proposal on explicit content. They state via their Twitter, "We have secured assurances necessary to support our diverse creator community and have suspended the planned October 1st policy change." So OnlyFans decides they're going to backpedal and allow sexually explicit content on their platform. But the problem is that many of the content creators or sex workers on the platform, they felt abandoned as they lost users or subscribers during this period. And they feel that this is all part of some sort of capital market play to raise money under a legitimate operation. So there's two main parts to this whole story I find quite perplexing. The first is that the company uses CC Bill for its payment processing. And as competitor AVN Stars points out on Twitter, blaming credit cards is questionable because CC Bill, well, they specialize in dealing with credit card companies for adult entertainment providers. Secondly, in an article published by the Financial Times, the company claims to be sending users $300 million in fees each month. Okay, so this works out to about $4.5 billion of annual transaction revenue, or commission fees of around $900 million annually. Now that's, of course, less referral fees. But how does a company with this growth profile that grosses $900 million with over 130 million users struggle to raise funding at $1 billion valuation? Look, I get it, it's porn, but being able to invest in a company that generates that much cash flow at a valuation that equates to likely less than a 2-year payback period sounds lucrative enough that even Warren Buffett might throw some chips on the table. After reading this, I can't help but wonder if the recent news has everything to do with Tim and Leonid being turned down by mainstream investment bankers while seeking a go public campaign. So here's my final thoughts. I am not a moral arbitrator on what is right or wrong. If anything, I hope OnlyFans uses this as an opportunity to be stewards of creating a safe environment for their content creators who often are exposed to dangerous and toxic work environments. But I get the sense OnlyFans ownership doesn't see it that way. So for every Mia Khalifa, Aaron Carter, or Brandy Love, there are thousands of regular folks who are just trying to generate an income to live. These creators are real ordinary people stressed about paying rent, healthcare, groceries, tuition, or even their kids' karate lessons. Every time OnlyFans cancels an agreed referral fee or discusses banning the core of their community, people are hurt. Perhaps Leonid and Tim were chasing some big NASDAQ dream while trying to take their platform mainstream. Maybe they think that life could be like the show Billions, and they'd lose the stigma of being labeled porn guys. But they did so without fooling anyone, and they caused a tremendous amount of undue stress for the majority of their content creators. If I were them, I'd embrace who I am and what I built. I'd work tirelessly around the clock to create an environment for those who choose this profession to be proud of what they do and feel safe doing it. Why? This community built a cash flow machine for Tim and Leonid that most NASDAQ tech IPOs of 2021 can only dream of. They owe it to their community. Okay, so I ask you, the audience, whether you are an OnlyFans content creator, a digital marketer, an investor. Are we on the mark here, or are we just flat out crazy? Lastly, please smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so we keep making more of these videos. All right. Thank you, everyone.